it's it's leaving here at 10:30, getting there at 5:30, which is actually 6:30 because they're an hour behind. Not doing it. But it's all right, Tass.
How we doing there, Mr. Graney? I got crystal clear Wi-Fi.
I got crystal clear here with you. Are you going over the marketplace?
No.
Okay, when you get back, Perry, I need you to search fights. All right, we're live. This is unbelievable. Tass, we are live, and Perry is confirming that we are grainy. Or I am grainy. Okay, just me.
Yeah, see?
Perry.
Tass has got the Wi-Fi.
Unbelievable.
So, Matt, what's this flight dilemma of yours?
Tass, I'm grainy and you're dark. But, so.
I'm not dark. Come on.
All right. Wait, Perry's trying to move wires around. I don't know, Perry. Shut off your Wi-Fi. Do something. Mr. Costa, Miss Ramos, how are you? Am I still grainy, Tass?
Hang on.
Tass, are you with me?
Yeah, I'm just working on some lighting situation over here.
Hey, thank you.
There. How about?
Wow, you have a lamp. That's wonderful. All right, we can't have dead air, Tass, because all three of the viewers will sign off.
I'm just checking this thing out, like what I can do with it.
Miss Angelina,
is that better or worse?
Hendrick.
How we doing, everybody?
Oh, there he goes. There he goes. All right, now we can get started. Watch the people start rolling in now that we just dropped our dead weight there. Anyway, hello everybody. Miss Nakarmi, Mr. Holly. Tass, I can hear you. I can't see you. You're from another world. I can't see you at all. You need to refresh or something because you're not there. Hey folks. The audience sees this right here. Just what they need to see. Me. Oh, look at the bars here. Folks, if you're true Mets Tassoul fans, what is going on here? Then you will stay with us through these challenges. You will not sign off. Oh, here he is. Here we go. There you are. All right.
I never left. I could hear you. I could see both of us. I could see everything.
Yeah, weird. All right. Just
so
we don't.
The host Wi-Fi is like at one bar.
Yeah.
And that's you.
Yeah, Perry.
We're plugged in. There's no Wi-Fi.
There's no Wi-Fi. We are plugged in.
Well, that's bizarre. May want to check your connection.
All right, and Perry, is this gonna die on me?
What is?
Oh, it's charging. All right. All right, folks, how are you?
What's happening, everybody?
So, everybody see the topic? We posted it right here. Here it is. Which is most important when hiring? Personality, talent, or work ethic? And by the way, if you're a single school owner, if you're watching this, I'm assuming you want to grow and eventually have to make that decision on what's most important. Now, we put this question out in the Century page, and Miss Shelby Kirkland broke this down for us. You ready for this, Tass?
Give it to me.
45% say work ethic is most important. 29% say personality. 11% say equally all three. 10% say it depends on the position. 3% say talent. 3% say talent. That's why you're all McDojos right there, right? Because talent just doesn't matter anymore. I'm
Wow.
kidding. I'm being sarcastic, everybody.
Wow.
And
Great
2%
job.
say other. Look at what Miss Mandy says. Personality should be one. You can teach work ethic.
Interesting. Interesting.
Work ethic is most important. Personality can be faked and skill can be taught. That's true. So we have to put on there a great actor or actress, right? You could fake personality, but
You get found out over time.
as you did, and you know this firsthand.
Yeah. Yep.
Right.
That's right.
Why can't you have all three? Miss Mandy asks.
That's a Metzgerism right there. I want my cake and eat it both. I can have
Hey,
both.
you can have all three and be stuck with like 1 or 2 locations for the rest of your life when you've taken the 3 people that have all three on this planet. Hey, this is important, everybody. Listen, it is so hard to find good people. Why? Because, Mandy, we do try to find people that have all three. If you find somebody that has a great work ethic, right? Great personality, great talent, it's like winning the lottery, right? Most of those people are already somewhere, and most of the time people value those people, so they're not leaving necessarily, right? It's hard. So how do you get all three? Let me ask you, how do you get all three? The best way to get all three is bring them up. And yes, Mr. Weaver, ever since the witness protection program, I can no longer come to you in 4K. I got to have a little distortion. It's a long story. Maybe we'll make that next week's topic.
Oh my goodness.
So anyway, it's so hard to find. Now it goes to this, Tass, and I'm going to throw it to you. So when you look at personality, work ethic, and skill, talent, and you want to expand your business, you can either wait for the 12-year-old who's a phenom in your school and say, man, I can't wait till they're 18 when we can open a school and give them an opportunity, and you could put your business growth off for 6 years. Or you got to go out there and find those people. Now, when you go out there and find those people, the question is, what are you looking for? Personality, work ethic, or skill level? And a lot of you are saying you can teach this, you can teach that. But what say you, Mr. Tassoul?
I think most people right now are just looking for a warm body that actually shows up for an interview.
Which
I say that. Hey, I say that, but there's some truth to that. Listen, at the end of the day, yeah, for me personally, I look for people with great personality, because the reality is that we're a very small business, and with the 2 or 3 key people that we have in our business, there is no choice. They are either front men or front women, meaning they're the first point of contact when they come to your school. So if you don't have someone with a great personality on the telephone or great personality in person, their job becomes much more difficult, because we're in the service industry, which is a rapport building business. And so therefore, not saying that it can't happen, but if you don't have a personality, you better have a lot of talent and be able to demonstrate and showcase that talent in a way that's going to inspire someone to get enrolled in your school. So, for me, personality is the most important thing. Yes, would I want someone as an instructor who is athletic and can catch on, and we can develop that talent? Of course. But for me, ultimately, personality is the most important thing, because those people are on the front lines, and they're the ones that are interacting with the students and with the families. There are, by the way, people that can have great work ethic and great talent, but not have great personality, and they're called accountants. And I think there's a proper field for those people. And I say that jokingly, of course, but there are certainly positions that they don't have to have a great personality that those people can fit well for. I think in the martial arts industry and in the martial arts service-based industry, when we're dealing with people, you have to have a great personality. So that's my take on it, Metz.
Well, Mandy says this, right? And she says, kidding. Where is it? Hold on. Right here. Hey, look at this. Good looks. I hire good looking people. Kidding, right? However, as much as that sounds funny, if you lined up 100 people against the wall and they said to you, all of these people are looking to work in your business. However, before you could talk to any of them, you need to pick the 10 people you would like to interview. You're going to base it on looks. You're going to base it on appearance. You're going to base it on that physical look and appearance, whether that means good looking or they're dressed professionally or they're well groomed or whatever that is, but it's going to be based on appearance. That is a big deal too, I think, because you got to understand when somebody walks into your martial arts, put it this way, when somebody walks into any business, who is the person that they're going to be greeted by? Who are they going to see first?
Right.
And in business, we want to get every edge we possibly can. So we want to look the part. We want to be professional, just like you want your school. You know, here's another question, right? Just as a sidebar, and we're not going to get into this, but what's most important in a martial arts school? Like cleanliness, you know, temperature, the lighting, the decor, you know, what's most important? Well, who's greeting these people and what is the perception of a customer walking into your school or business as opposed to a similar business? And I think look is important too. If you do an interview, and I'm making this to be funny as a joke, but also serious. If you're looking to hire someone in your martial arts school, if they're dressed nicely, you know, business casual, or kung fu slippers with the pants and a tank top, or a full suit. Well, the full suit may just be overkill for this position. But the kung fu slippers and the tank top, and you know, that might be like, okay, they're not taking this as serious as I want. I want to find that business casual looking person. But when you get past that physical appearance and you bring someone in for an interview, we have a 3-step process. I just need to get to know you a little bit. Tell me a little bit about you. I want to see what kind of charisma and personality does this person have. I don't know anything about their work ethic yet, right? The only thing I can go by is, did they show up for the interview? Did they show up late for the interview? But if they get through the first phase of the interview where I really like the personality, they seem to have a good head on their shoulders, they seem like they want opportunity, they seem like they want success. The next part of the interview is, you're going to go into one of our schools. We're going to introduce you as a guest assistant instructor today. We're going to have you warm up a class, take them through whatever drills you want. I really don't care, for 10 minutes. And I want to see how you interact and manage a class. Now I'm going to get an idea of your skill set. And I'm also going to get a sense of also your personality and charisma on the mat. So that personality thing is consistent throughout, but I won't even see skill level or talent until the second interview. And that's if you get past the first interview. Then the third interview will be whether or not we're offering you a position based on the feedback we've gotten from our instructors or our staff at that particular school they were at, and any feedback we may have gotten from some students. And by the way, just for all of you, we like to have them at least 2.5 hours, you know, when they get out there. It's not just one class. So we'll say part of the interview process is 2.5 hours. We're going to have you in a school. I want you to assist. We're going to have you lead a warm-up or some drills, and we just want to see what you're like. From there, if you pass all those phases, and by the way, Mr. Johnson's saying, do you define charisma the same as personality? No, I don't. I think, you know, I'm just saying this because my daughter and her friend were talking about this morning about Captain Jack Sparrow, but I think Johnny Depp has a lot of charisma, but his personality seems a little dry, but I think the guy has a lot of charisma. I think there's a There's a difference. You can have a presence, but the personality can be dry. Go ahead, Tass.
Well, I was just going to say, charisma is more like your wit and your charm, right? I think, and your ability to influence people. I think personality is being able to hold a conversation and be, personable, not necessarily personal with somebody. So yeah, there's definitely a line of distinction there between the two. You can have someone with a great personality who may not be very charismatic. But I don't know that I've ever seen really someone who's very charismatic. I'm thinking about this. That doesn't have a great personality. I don't know that I've seen that flipped, but I've seen people that have had, a good personality or great personality, but necessarily don't have the charisma to go with it, if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense to me. But
Mr. Johnson also put on here, does systemizing your business mean you actively step away from your personality? And I would say no. I would say it allows your personality to shine because we're no longer worried about what it is that we're doing in our business or how to do it, because everything is systemized. So and I thought that same thought process years and years and years ago, that, if everything's business systems, it's going to be stale, it's going to be plasticky, it's going to be wooden, and it's not going to come across the right way. And au contraire, it allows your personality to shine. It allows the personality and the charisma of your people to shine because they're not worried about, what they need to do necessarily, because there's systems in place for everything. And then they can inject their personality and their charisma into those business systems, as opposed to running a school with someone who has a great personality and great charisma with no business systems, and then trying to replace that person if and when that happens, and it will happen at some point, whether that's you or instructor. Hate to be the Debbie Downer, but it will happen at some point. That can be very difficult to replace somebody if your school, your business, whatever business you're in, was built solely on personality and charisma and not on business systems. So I think business systems really allow that person.
And by the way, whatever you think is the most important, let's just say you say, well, the majority of you said work ethic, right? I read you the percentages. But even if you think personality is the number one reason, you could have the nicest guy or girl working for you, and when they're late every single day, you're going to change your mind and say work ethic, because you're going to get so frustrated. Your mind will change and you're going to say work ethic. We need people. We need people that are driven for success. We need that. If you have people please understand, and you've heard me say this before, there's a difference between hiring people for a job and hiring people for a career. You always want to try to hire people that want a career, not a job. And if somebody is not wanting to grow in their career, there's not a place for them here in our company, right? That's just important, I think, to understand, because if it's a job, it's temporary or can be replaced very easily, right? We want to provide careers, and that's a different story, but I think that's something you want to look for when hiring somebody, right? And also, here's another thing that I've seen this industry do. Give up on finding people from the outside and convince yourself that you cannot hire people because it never works out. It's not true. Maybe the majority of time it doesn't work out, or you don't have the right training systems in place, but it does work out. And that's why I tell people, you always should be looking for good people. You never have to hire somebody, but you always should be looking for good people, not when you need them, all the time. If you wait until you need to find someone, it could take you a year to find somebody that's good. So always be looking. And if you find somebody when you don't need them, you need to scoop them up and give them an opportunity, because they're few and far between. Go ahead, Tass.
Well, to that point, I remember my dad always telling me, he's like, the best time to get a new job is when you have a current job. Like, don't quit your existing job and then go look for a new job, and I think there's some truth in that when we're looking for instructors and looking for employees in general, right? It's always a great time And as an owner of a school, there's a few things that you need to be really focused on. Number one is your marketing for your school, right? As an owner. And number two is you have to really be looking at the recruitment, not of necessarily new students, but the recruitment of future staff and future team members. And Metz, you made a comment a while back, which, earlier on, that said, hey, are you going to wait for that 12-year-old? I know what you meant when you said that. And some people do this. And I could give you the great story of the bamboo farmer that, planted his bamboo seeds and went out and watered and fertilized it every day. And people thought he was nuts for 4 years. And in the 5th year, finally, the bamboo started growing. It grows, 90 feet tall in 5 weeks. And so we could use that analogy, which is a great analogy for a lot of lessons in life. But I think if we use that analogy for developing leadership students, and not that you shouldn't do this, right? But for developing leadership students and future assistants, the challenge is you take a group of 10 or 15 or 20 kids at 10, 11, 12 years old, and you start working with them and nurturing them. We hope one of those people is going to become we hope all of them would become instructors, but the reality is high school gets in the way. Then they potentially, want to go to college, especially, and I say this as a general statement in our industry. We talked about our industry not being taken serious by landlords, and landlords won't even allow martial arts schools in their plazas. Well, what do you think parents think of martial arts schools? And they think of a career in a martial arts school. So if we haven't provided the opportunity and made it very clear and crystal clear as to how they can have a career and show them a pathway and how to get there, as much as they want to become a martial art instructor, I got to imagine the conversation at home is, do you really want to, what do you want to do for a real job? Because that's what I got when I was a kid, right? So this is why we're so adamant about getting the industry to the next level, is because wouldn't it be great for you to have people knocking on your door that would love to be able to do martial arts and teach martial arts as a career? But most people don't take what we do seriously and as an opportunity for it to be a career for them in their life. I think that's an important piece as well.
And by the way, going back to this, you touched on this. The systemizing your business means you actively step away from personality. It's interesting because we are in a personality-driven business, right?
100%.
So if you want to expand and you want to open multiple schools, or if you just want to remove yourself or have other instructors run classes at your existing school, everybody's going to have their own personality, right? But we all agree that there's a wide consensus of what a good personality is, right? Somebody who has charisma, someone who has a good personality and can build rapport with parents and students. But that's where it comes into your curriculum and your lesson plans and the delivery of you're still going to get the product and quality of product or service regardless of who is in there. The personality, I think, if you can get systemized on your curriculum and your art, as far as making sure that your martial arts gets delivered at the same quality or the same level that you want it to be delivered, personality becomes more about a retention tool, right? With a good personality on the floor, you're going to retain more students. What will not retain students is your curriculum or your martial art. That will not retain students. It's the delivery of your martial art and your your techniques and your lesson plans that will retain students. And that's why personality is so important. But then you could say, well, if you don't have work ethic, they won't show up for class. And that won't retain students either, no matter how good their personality is. So they do go hand in hand. But what's your thought?
Well, yeah, I was just going to say that. I think a lot of people, a lot of martial arts business owners, I think the first place they look or think that they're systematic is in their curriculum. And I mean, you nailed it, right? I always tell people there's a difference in your curriculum. Your curriculum is the what, but your lesson plan is the how. So here's what you teach, but more importantly than what you teach is how you teach it. And so just because you have a curriculum, and most of us have a curriculum that was handed to us from 300 years ago, and we continue to, and we won't go down that rabbit hole, but we continue to teach that curriculum because we're paying homage to tradition and that's the way it needs to be. And we haven't really taken time to think, well, why is it that way? And at some point, somebody created this curriculum. And I'm not saying curriculum is bad, by the way, and that everyone's curriculum is bad, but I'm saying there are reasons why things were created. Do they really make sense today? And then if they don't make sense, then is there a better way to do it? Because our job as instructors, my belief, or in life, is we got to leave it better than we found it. And so some people argue and say, well, it's already perfect. Well, when you get a bunch of guys, and I know how this stuff was done. You get a bunch of guys in a room and talking about what they want to develop and what they want to create for curriculum and why. It's no different than you today taking your understanding of what you know and why do you want to evolve the curriculum? Is it to, because we're all about creating better martial artists. But if all we ever did, right, if all I ever did was the same traditional, I'm a traditional Taekwondo guy, the same traditional Taekwondo that we did, you would never see, I mean, look, and some people will be haters on this, but you look at the XMA and the high level weapons people that are out there, they say, well, that's not practical or it's not this. But there's a lot of skill level that goes into that, and we would have never gotten to that point. Or, I mean, look at if you want to take it from a kicking standpoint, martial arts, there's a lot of martial arts that there's a lot of things that are also not practical in the martial art. But there's the art side of it. We got to remember it's martial arts, and there's an art side of it, and you can develop those things. So without getting off on a tangent, I just think it's important. You got to understand what is your curriculum, but that is not a system. The delivery of that curriculum is the system, because that's what's retain your students, because everybody teaches something different, but it's how it's delivered and how it's presented to the students, and the parents are the reason why that, or your adults is the reason why that they're staying and doing what you're doing.
And by the way, everybody, this is a great question, Mr. Stewart. Who do I ask if I have a good personality? Well, in the context of what we are talking about, you ask your statistics that you keep. That's who you ask. Look and see what your attrition rate is. If your attrition rate is over the average or the norm, or let's just say if your attrition rate is higher than 5%, something's up. You may have a great personality, you just might not be letting it shine too much, right? Because personality has to come through in the way you deliver your martial arts, right? So like you could say I have a great personality, but my curriculum is boring. You know, I challenged myself. I remember this 20 some years ago. I think I told you this, Tass, and this is something everybody probably has done, but I remember this specifically. I wanted to see if I can teach an entire adult class, a 1-hour adult class, and teach them just a into out block or whatever block you want to call it. This is it. And how can I make this exciting with my personality, let's say, and with what I want to do with that, and get them to buy into these drills and just do one move, one block the entire class. After that class, they came up, not everybody, but a lot of the class said that was one of the best classes we ever took. Now, maybe they said that because I was so conscious on challenging myself to see if I can teach just all the principles of doing one block and make it exciting and fun and interesting, that they did that. Whereas most of you, we go out on the floor and we can teach in our sleep sometimes, right? We don't consciously think, I want to make this class like the most interesting class. But the thing is it wasn't about one move, right? Because that sounds extremely boring. But it's about how you deliver everything. How do you deliver your service to your customers? And you got to have personality. You got to have all of that stuff. You got to have charisma to develop rapport. You got to have personality to develop rapport. You got to be friendly, which is personality, right? So here's and by the way, real quick, I know from owning multiple schools, we have a lot of different personalities. But it's so interesting because somebody's got to be the best on who produces the highest quality student, and somebody's got to be the worst at producing the highest quality student. When you're looking at multiple schools, somebody's got to be at the top, somebody, right? But we also see personalities. But the thing is it's not always our highest grossing school or our best retention that produces the best quality martial artists. And we look at the personalities at the schools and we can see, like, how is this school beating this school? Personality. Personality is like consistent. And I'm not saying this is the number one thing you look for. I'm just going off of, how we got started on personality. Go ahead, Tass.
But then you move into, is it just personality, or is it also the culture of your school? And are you focused on the culture of your school and getting people to buy into the culture of the school as well? Which is a whole nother topic. But here's the question for you. We've had this conversation. So you find someone who's talented. Do you believe you can teach personality, first of all?
Well, go ahead, folks. Weigh in. Use the keyboard.
Do you guys think that you can teach personality? Because you can teach your skill, right? Your talent, your martial arts, right? Or whatever it is that you do. You can teach people, right?
And by the way,
personality.
And by the way, it's not that you have to teach an instructor to be as skillful as you. If you look at some of the best coaches or boxing trainers, I don't know if Mike Tyson ever had a coach that could beat him in the boxing ring, or that was faster or more powerful or more skilled. Or I don't know if Sugar Ray Leonard, Angelo Dundee, I don't know if he could beat Sugar Ray. My point is can you teach somebody to, they don't have to be as skilled, but it's a good question. Can you teach personality? And a system can help coach personality in the direction you need.
Okay. And here's what's interesting. I mean, I think sometimes we look at, oh, there we go. Now we're getting some response here.
That's tough. My failure has been trying to duplicate in others what works best for me. Doesn't honor their unique talents or abilities or personality. Well, that's a great point too, because that's an example. That's why I don't teach scripts. I teach concepts, and there's certain things you got to do. But yes, they can't ever be you, and you can never be them. So that's interesting. Well, thank you, Mr. Trevor and Mr. Peter, for joining the show today.
That's right.
Nobody else wants to comment. That's cool. That's all right. We'll do a private seminar. Go ahead.
That's interesting. Yeah, look, and you with 7 schools, right? And you guys get into a black belt graduation. Have you and Silverman ever sat back and, because I know you're not actively in your schools, is it pretty easy for you to figure out what student belongs to what instructor?
As a whole, that's
a higher level. Your higher level students.
Yeah, well, when we look at students, we can kind of tell what school they're from based on their physical skills.
Based on their physical skills, yeah. And then, it's but why I say this is it's interesting because and then if you see someone teaching or hear someone teaching, they have a lot of the same, the way that they peak, they peak and pace, their tonalities, some of the phrases they use, it's pretty easy to spot like who is working with who. So yes, a lot of this can be influenced over time, right? But I guess the thing that I'm saying is that, is it possible to teach charisma? Is it possible to teach wit? Is it possible to teach personality, which are three different things in my mind? And Metz, you and I have had this conversation, and I don't know how to teach it. Like, I don't know how, other than influence it and be that person and have someone be around you to maybe rub off on that person, I guess. But other than influencing them and have them side by side with you, I don't know how to teach. I don't know of a system to be able to teach that, because if we did, I think we could have some really amazing instructors that have great talent, but just need work on the personality side of things, which would be interesting.
I think you need to define it in bullet points, right? Because if you think of anybody, so many people have different personalities, but there are certain bullet points that certain people have that are attractive to other people, the majority of people. I've always said there is an audience for everybody. You know, I've said that. You could have the worst personality in the world. You could be the most out of shape person. You could be sloppy. And there's people in the world that would want to learn from you, right? So there is an audience for everyone. What we want to do, though, is find what are most people attracted to. You know, there are certain, let's go back to charisma. There's a reason why there's Tom Cruises of the world, you know, Brad Pitts of the world. They have a certain something that is attracted to a vast majority of people. And it's the same thing with personality. And I use that as an example because not everybody has that quality. But in our martial arts school, there are multiple personalities, right, that fit with the majority of people in this world. And those are the people you want, even if it's very different from you. I'm very sarcastic. I have a sarcastic sense of humor. I like to be funny. That was me when I taught. I don't have any instructors like that today. They have their own personalities, but they're great personalities in their own right. So I don't try to find people to duplicate my personality. I need to find a good enough personality that when I sit down with somebody, am I thinking, man, they are out there. They are on another planet, this person. Because if I'm thinking that, I'm thinking a lot of other people may think that. And by the way, who am I to be the judge? I'm the owner of the company. That's who I am, right? So I gotta feel good about it because it's in my company. And if it's you that's hiring, how do you feel? Like, does this person, is it fun to be around? Now, by the way, here's another thing, Tass, that's so important that we didn't even talk about.
Right.
But if you want to open multiple schools, it's not just about having somebody that students and customers would be in, you know, have enjoyment being around that person. It's your other staff members that have to work with people. I know it's so difficult if you had to go to work every single day with somebody that was just weird or annoying or out there or quiet, or, you know, I know how hard that would be for the other person that may have a great personality to work 8 hours every day with that person. So you got to be thinking about that when you hire other people. Mm-hmm. Is this somebody that you as the owner or the manager are excited to get to work? Or put it this way, right. Maybe you're not excited to get to work, but you're not avoiding it, right? Because, you know, I can't wait to see so-and-so, you know, I want to ask how they're doing. I mean, they always have great stories, you know, it's always good conversation. That's what we need, because that's what's going to retain your students, right? And that's what's going to build rapport with your customers, especially if you're hiring for a program director.
Yes, very true.
Here, Ms. Ramos, I place different instructors to whatever class fits their personality better. My head instructor can't teach little dragons, but he can teach a great advanced class. You know, that's a good point too, right? There are some instructors that just aren't as good teaching smaller children, but they're phenomenal at teaching older children or adults or advanced students as opposed to beginners. But I believe that can be taught. I believe that can be taught and systemized as well. They may not want to. Like if we all had a choice, if I said, look, here's your choice. Do you want to teach white belt little dragons? Do you want to teach advanced, you know, 12 to 14-year-olds? Or do you want to just teach adults? Which group would you want to teach the most? Everybody's going to have their group. Some of you love working with the little ones. Some of you love working with advanced. Some of you love working with adults. Doesn't mean we want to do it, but it doesn't mean that we can't be good at all of them, right? I believe that can be taught, right? Yeah. And I think there's a huge shift in the economy from the 20th century leadership into the 21st. Increasing diverse female market requires a different set of skills. The mantra, when put in charge, take command, is not a universally received.
Well, listen here, Mr. Johns, here's my thought process on that. First of all, I understand what you mean when you say that. I think boy, there's a lot of different directions we can go with this. But if I forget who made the statement, Metz, maybe you can help me out on this. But it was, if they don't learn the way you teach, then teach the way they learn, right? And I forget who had made that comment, but so I can't give credit to whoever that was. I'll just say it was Dave Kovar, because a lot of those great one-liners came from Mr. Dave Kovar.
Keep going.
But here's the other thing: is I've said this before too. Like, man, the where we're at right now, it seems so difficult for some of these things that we're trying to accomplish and to teach and to influence and to create great leaders. But then I come back to what an opportunity that we have right now when they're not doing those things and getting those things where common courtesy is not so common. When leadership principles, nobody wants to step up and be a leader because no one wants to take accountability. Well, this is where we as martial arts schools, I believe, get to shine, because we're going back to core life principles that everybody needs, whether it's respect, whether it's determination, grit, integrity, all of those are core life skills, whether you call them your tenets or your oath or whatever you guys call them, or they're just, core beliefs of your school. Those are the things we know that martial arts are built upon, and those things will never go away. Those things will never go away. And that's why I believe right now is one of the best times for us to be in this industry, is because we have an unbelievable opportunity to help that generation that's coming up and to help them understand they need to be respectful. They need to be able to communicate other than just with a telephone, right? Or Instagram or whatever it means that they do. That I look at that as a wonderful challenge and a great opportunity for us. However, then the question becomes, well, if they're not going to learn the way that you teach, then teach the way that they learn. And that may be where we need to kind of figure out, well, what does that look like and how are we going to disseminate that? Does that mean we're not going to be teaching from lecture format and talking at them, which we shouldn't do anyways? Does that mean we're going to have it's going to be more fun, it's going to be more engaging, we're going to have some technology involved? Like, what does that look like? It's going to be more built around fun and having a good time. All of those things I think are important. But I understand what you're saying, Mr. Johnson, but I also, for me, I won't let that be an excuse as to why we can't grow our business. Like, that's on me. I got to figure that out and figure out how to communicate with our team and with other people so that we can instill those values in people, because those are the people that come back later in life and say, man, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be where I was. It's not for me, but if it wasn't for the training, we wouldn't be where they were today. So I think it's a great point.
What do you think? Just thinking, if you can show students and parents that they're constantly improving, that's the best retention tool.
Yeah, I mean, I think if the student is feeling like they're getting what they want, but they're also getting what they need.
Yeah, you're still there. I can hear you, but I can't see you. Yeah, now you have an echo. Are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, there you go. Go ahead.
Is there an echo?
No, you're good.
Okay, it was like didn't touch anything, just sitting here watching. But at the end of the day, I think that yes, if you give them what they want, and they get that what they need, I think that's important. But you also have to give the parents what they want and need. So you can't just run a class you can't run a class that you're playing dodgeball every day and the kids love it and they want to come back, right? The parents have to see the value as well.
Yeah, and by the way, look, that is a big deal in retention. You have to have that's why we have all the rainbow belts. All of you who think, we're so traditional and this, that, and the other. Well, traditional from how long ago? Because we didn't always have an array of colors on these belts, right? But you need to show progress. That's a huge retention tool. But I think it's just as important, if not more important, the delivery of what you are teaching. Because I can show you progress, but if I come in and I'm a tyrant, all I do is drill you. I'm going to make you the best martial artist, but I'm just not going to keep a lot of my students. And unfortunately, whether you like it or not, it's because of the culture. The majority of people don't want to spend their money on their extracurricular activity, especially for a child, to just be drilled. You got to make sure they have fun. A child wants to have fun. The parent wants them to have focus or discipline or confidence. Very rarely does a child or a parent come in and say, I want to be the Olympic champion when they're enrolling. Now, they may evolve to that. They may get to the point where they say, my goal now is to be in the Olympics. My goal is to be a world champion. My goal is to fight in the cage. That may evolve to that. But it's very rare that somebody enrolls in your school and says, I'm enrolling here because I want to be a martial arts champion. So you got to make sure you understand the wants as well as the needs of your customer. And you got to deliver some of those wants. And some of those wants for children specifically is fun. How do you deliver and make things fun if you have no personality? If you don't have a great personality, right? I just think personality is important, but guys, I'm a work ethic guy too. I think you need to have a strong work ethic because nothing is more irritating than somebody who just has no drive. They're coming in late. They're dragging their heels when they walk. I mean, so work ethic is important. Skill level, I feel, is the last thing because I really believe if you are a martial arts instructor, train them up just like anyone else. And I don't mean take someone with no martial arts experience and train them up to a black belt in a month. But if they're a black belt in another system and they've applied or they came to you, train them up on the skill level, respect their black belt from their other system. But if they have a great personality, a great work ethic, we can get that curriculum, that memorization, right? I mean, if you're a black belt in another system, I would like to assume that you know how the techniques are applied and what the point is and the principle is, right? If you don't get that in the first or second interview, I don't care what black belt you have, you're not right for us. But I need work ethic, I need personality. But if you have the drive, we'll get you our curriculum, right? Our curriculum is just our set of movements and patterns and techniques, not yours. But we're open-minded too. Maybe somebody has something they can bring to the table. So it's not the curriculum there. Okay, now, Tass, what if white to black was less of a curriculum mindset and more of a 36 to 48 month long onboarding process mindset, retention focused?
Yeah, well, I think it should be. I mean, you're exactly right. And so when you say less of a curriculum mindset, I think the thing you got to think about is how are you nurturing this person throughout that journey every step of the way? An example is, this happens a lot. We start making a lot of phone calls and text messages and emails to get a lead to turn into an intro lesson. And then we razzle and dazzle them with a private intro lesson and go through all these life skills and have them break a board. And we're all, focused on that person. Then we get them enrolled. And then I think, a lot of us, we tend to forget about that person. And then the next time we want to talk to them is, oh, they got to pay a testing fee, or it's time for them to upgrade, or whatever the deal is, or they outgrew their uniform, so we got to get them a uniform. It's all about money, right? And I think that's a mistake that's made across the board. I don't think that that's just something that the few people. I'm not saying there's people that don't do this, but your mindset of having a constant ongoing onboarding process, yes, you need to make sure you're engaged with your students on a regular basis over time, and make sure. This is why one of our business systems, as an example, is when class is over, the head instructor loops over to the lobby and starts talking to all the parents for the first 30 to 90 seconds of the class, while the assistant is lining up that next class and just says, hey, how's everyone doing today? Did you guys are you guys ready for that? I'll say Packer game. I know it wasn't much of a game last week, but are you ready for the Packer game coming up? Or, hey, how you guys doing? The weather's starting to turn, fall is upon us. They're building rapport so that when they go over to a parent and talk to them later, they're not like, oh, here he comes asking for money. It's like, why do you get called to the principal's office? Because you did something wrong. Why do you get called to the martial art office? Because you owe them money. Like, that's their mentality. And you've got to change that mentality in your school and make it a different feel. And that's one thing that you can be doing. Doing retention So every quarter, I'm giving you guys some nuggets, right? Every quarter, we like to focus one of those months on retention. So 4 times a year, we're either making phone calls to everybody just to say thank you and let them know how much we appreciate them being in a martial arts school and how great their child is doing. We're shooting them a text message. We're doing a little a video. We're doing something that we can do to just let them know that we appreciate them and that we care about them and that we're happy and we're thankful that they're there and that we don't take that for granted. So those are some of the things that you can be doing. But yes, on an ongoing basis, you should always think, and I always tell my team this, right? We always have to be thinking in our mind, like, well, what's the next step? You know, what's the next step for Johnny? Johnny's a green belt right now. What's the next step for him? Well, okay, advanced green belt. But what do we need to work on with him specifically? Listen, you're the teacher, right? You if you talk like they're a client or student or whatever, well, they're under your care, and they're looking to you to help them be the best possible person that they can be, and not just fly under the radar once they become a student and not get better. So I think it's important to have the balance of being mindful and being personable, not personal, but also having a constant method of communication that you have with your students. And yes, that can be done through classes, but are you doing MIA calls? Are you concerned whether they're paying monthly or they're paid in full? Are you still making the phone calls to get them to come back in? Because that's our responsibility on what we want to do and who we're trying to, you know, create these young people to become the best versions of themselves that they can be, right? So yes, that should be the mindset, all while using the curriculum as a vehicle to deliver those things is my point.
And then, Mr. Olama, students hear things differently. I feel like sometimes I will say something, but one of my other instructors say the same thing in a different way, and then other students will understand it better, and I get good results that way. And that's exactly right, but we actually train on that. We train on having one instructor be able to present things differently. You can call that disguising repetition or just explaining things differently, because people learn hear things different and respond to different things. And here's the most plain example. When you're enrolling somebody, one of the things we do, and if you guys offer a paid in full option, right? You can offer a paid in full option and say, by the way, if you want to pay up front, you're going to save X percent. You're going to save 20%, let's say, right? But some people respond better to say, by the way, if you want to pay up front for your program, you're going to save almost $500. So we make sure we say both. You're going to save 20, in our case, 25%. You're going to save 25%, which is a savings of almost $500. And that's the equivalent of getting 3 months free of martial arts lessons. We hit 3 different things that people may respond differently to. You should deliver your techniques and your curriculum in the same way to try to make sure that we're getting the majority of people on that floor to make sure they understand the concept or what it is that you're teaching. Okay. So yeah, and then communication is what they walk away with understanding / hearing. So there it is. Listen, if you want to scale your business, stop setting, stop setting limits on what you can achieve in your business. Get rid of that. If you're in business, be the biggest and best business you can be and keep the quality as high as you can keep it. But why make excuses and limit ourselves that we can't grow our business and our company? You can, but we need people. We need people to do that. You cannot do that by yourself. You cannot scale by yourself. So I know everybody, we don't want to hire people from outside, but sometimes you have to, and you better have great training systems and tools to get people trained up. And again, I'm not saying to hire non-martial artists. Hire martial artists, but you still have to have training to fit your culture, your curriculum, what you guys focus on, what your mission statement is in your business. Mine's right behind me. But anyway, that's it. Anything else? And then here to ask a question. Any suggestion where to look for potential hires? Of course, internal would be best, but what about external? We've posted on Indeed and Facebook. but we've only received one application so far.
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean,
It's a great
been difficult.
Yeah,
It's been difficult for a lot of people. It's difficult for a lot of people. The number one thing I would say is, number one, are you putting money behind your Indeed ad, or is it just the free? Because we put money behind it, and we had application. It was it's $60 an application. I think we've gotten like 8 or 9 applications, and in about a 6-week time period. But again, it's sifting and sorting and trying to find people right now, right? So that may help if you put some money behind Indeed. Put some money.
I could hear you.
So other companies that are out there that you can look at as well that are, Indeed is probably one of the biggest, right? But have you gone on Craigslist? Have you put, stuff in your local Facebook? Have you started with your own student base and asking, like, for a program director, letting parents know and students know in your school, putting together a black belt, reunion where if you've been in business long enough, this is something that potentially you could do, where you go out and you're going to have a big black belt party for anyone that you've ever graduated black belt. You just don't know where they're at in their life right now. And part of that is letting all those people know that, hey, if you're interested, things have dramatically changed and we've got an unbelievable career opportunity. If anyone's interested, we'd certainly love to talk to you about it. So those are some ideas of things that you can do. But at the end of the day, it's got to be top of mind awareness. And whenever you see, and I've always been a big advocate of, I don't have business cards. I've always said I can connect with people on Facebook or whatever. However, there is a time and a place for a business card. And if you see somebody that has great personality or great charisma or great wit, and you think they'd be a great fit for your school, be a great time to give them a business card. Say, hey, look, if you're ever thinking about a career change or a career opportunity, we'd love to chat with you. I love your energy, love your charisma, and we're always looking for great people. So those are some things that you can do.
And there you go. Shelby just posted. If you're willing to relocate a candidate, we had success targeting all of U.S. martial artists with Facebook lead form objective. That's another language to me, but just
here we go, giving away all the secrets again, Metz. Giving away all the secrets.
Let me hide that. Let me hide that comment.
There you go. Get rid of that.
No, that's it. Listen, this is why I tell you always be looking for good people, because I wish it was just easy. And by the way, it is easy. If you're willing to settle, it's easy to find people.
Right.
But we don't settle. That's why it's so hard to find good people. Good defined by what we are looking for. You need to define what you are looking for and be always looking. Okay. So there it is. Tass.
Good stuff. Hey, I'm not sure. I don't think it was an internet problem on my side. I'm just saying I'm full power, full speed.
Could be us. And we're plugged in, and it's unbelievable.
Little glitchy, but better than not being on at all, like it was last week.
That's right. So thank you, Shane, for being here today.
My pleasure, Mike.
Thank you. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you guys.
We'll see everybody soon. If you guys need anything, let us know. So we'll talk to you soon, everyone.
Right on, everybody. Thanks, guys. See you, Metz. We'll talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.